I'm Gary.
Hello, I'm Leon the grandfather.
And we are...
Gary and the grandfather.
Yeah, good job. How you doing then?
I'm in a good week. Yeah, I'm good. I'm really good today, actually. Feel pretty good. Got my blue on. Blue's always good for me. It's a good, powerful color.
Yeah, it looks good.
Yeah, I feel pretty good. Can even tie a bow tie now. I'm kind of impressed. At 65, I can finally tie a bow tie. But you know, something you spoke about the other day.
Yeah.
You know, Gary, and I just want to touch on this. And that's, you know, like ambition. I see you as an ambitious man, right?
Oh, really?
No, I'm not
Really?
kidding. I see you as ambitious, like you want something out of your piece of life, as Sadhguru always said, right? And I think lots of people don't. That's what I think. Lots of people want absolutely nothing. I want to have my happy hour and get blasted and go back to a boring job on Monday and complain about it.
That was sounding nice until you said about the boring job and the the complaining.
Yeah.
Complaining, that could be nice, I guess.
But I think it's a process, isn't it? Like, like if you can't complain for your entire lifetime, right?
Yeah, I guess that was the point.
Complain at the beginning, maybe, and then change it.
Mm-hmm.
You don't think? What do you think?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're right. Well, you know, with changing your life and everything, like I used to watch a lot of Broadway shows when I was younger. My family, we'd always go up to see 2 Broadway shows a summer.
Wow.
Musicals.
Cool.
And then after the 9/11 attacks, we didn't go that year because of the terrorism and everything. We decided not to go to New York, and then from there we got out of the habit of going, unfortunately. But there was one musical that we watched. It was Aida, and Aida started off as an opera, I guess.
Yeah.
And then they turned it into a musical, and Elton John and Tim Rice, they did the music. But the one woman, the main character, Aida herself, she said to the man, the prince or whoever, what was his name? Radames or something. Because, of course, he's destined to marry this other woman, and he's just not feeling it. There's arranged marriage, I guess, in the family. She's a good woman, she's a fine woman, but he's in love with Aida, the slave woman, so it's just not going to work from his heart standpoint. And there was one phrase, one line in the song where she says to him, she says, if you don't like your life, change it. You know, you don't have any shackles on you. Because he was complaining to her about his life. Yeah, he's complaining to a slave girl. You know. Yeah. If you don't like your life, change it.
Wow.
And I think it's a very powerful sentiment right there.
But you know, it's the old story, isn't it, Gary? Because it's far easier to make a statement like that than do it. Because change is hard, my experience. It's not easy.
Well,
right?
I think change is... Well, to accomplish things, I think can be hard. But I think what you need is discipline. You need discipline, and you need a clear roadmap. You need to construct a roadmap of how to get from point A where you're at to point B where you want to go. You need discipline, and then the third thing you need is accountability.
Wow.
Where if you have accountability, that will get you, it will make you work harder on what you're doing.
Yeah.
I'll tell you a story.
Yeah.
Quick. That maybe about 8 years ago, I started writing a book, and I told people about it.
Yeah.
It was a very ambitious project. And it was one of those projects where the more I talked about it and thought about it, it was a reference book. The further
And bigger it got.
and bigger and it got. Where then basically I scope creeped it out of existence, where I wanted something so large that it was impossible. I looked for publishing options when I got the manuscript around 80% complete. Found out it would come out to about $300 US a book
Gosh.
to print it, and that would be without me even taking any royalties.
Wow. Wow. So
Yeah,
impossible.
Yeah, impossible. And so I cancelled the project. But then I thought to myself, and this is the reason I did this to begin with, way back when I started the project. I had told people I was going to do it.
Yeah.
Because as soon as you tell some people, there's a bit of accountability.
That's right.
So then, about a year and a half ago, someone asked me, they said, well, how about your book? How's that coming along? Oh, of course I didn't want to tell them the reality.
Yeah.
And then I got a message from another guy I was talking to who was really looking forward to this book, a guy named Robert from Poland. And then he said to me, oh, you got to release it, even if you just distribute the manuscript for free or do an e-reader version or whatever. He said, man, we really wanted to see it. We're waiting for it. And suddenly, because of within the span of a year and a half, not just one, but two people were asking me about this. I thought, oh man, I just can't. It's like going and facing the audience and saying, look, we're done. You know?
The social opprobrium.
I couldn't do it. So I looked into other ways to solve the initial problem, and then I found a way that worked, that was suitable for me and suitable for most other people. Just released my first volume. Yes, volume. A few weeks back.
Oh, fantastic.
You know.
Congratulations, Gary. That's fantastic. Yeah, really good. Fantastic. But this is my point about ambition, you see. A guy, like, my way of thinking, you know, Gary, quite honestly, you know, you got one life in this reality. And be it may if you're a Christian, a Taoist, a Buddhist, not Buddhist different, but a Jew, you know, and whatever you believe the next reality to be, this reality you have once, as I see it.
Sure.
So, if that's true, then it's up to you to bring everything, you know, die empty. That's taught Henry, the book, right? Die empty, which he means by this, all the talents that I have here, we all have talent, for sure. Bring them out. And if you don't bring them out, that's your fault. It's just because you're lazy, basically. You know, all of us have a book, 2 books in us. All of us, 3 books, for sure. Because we've all lived interesting lives, for the most part, in the modern age, right? We have something to say, but most of us don't. And we gripe about it, we complain, which produces the bitter old man. And I like I said to you earlier this evening, at 65 years old, 2 things are true, guaranteed. A, you're gonna die. Oh no, poor Leon! Yes, you're gonna die. What that means, God only knows, as they say. And the second thing that's true, what I feel about life today is my business. If I want to be happy, I can be. If I don't want to be happy, I'm unhappy. If I don't have a project, which I always do, as you know, right? We finished the second edit on my book, my second book, as you know. Yeah, today.
Yeah.
You know, and if I don't have a project, I would be miserable. I really would. Because now I programmed my mind, which is routine again. You know?
Yeah.
It's all routine. You know, I'm a lazy man. I am. If I could just lie in bed, smoke cigarettes, be as fat as a house, why not? Sure. But because I've trained my mind that I feel guilty if I don't get up, if I don't have a wash, if I don't shave, if I don't listen to my affirmations, if I don't do my writing, if I don't. I'm very harsh on myself. And I think I'm normal. I don't think I'm unique at all. Right? I'm just normal. Get up. And everyone tells you this. The first action is the hardest, which is called action. Act. A-C-T. It's the hardest one. You could be telling your grandchildren, for God's sakes, Gary. You could be, I wanted to write this book, and I thought it was such a good idea, but I never got around to it.
Well, I think you were saying about lazy and feeling guilty and all of this stuff. I think for a large portion of the people in the world, there are some exceptions, people who truly are just lazy idlers. But I think the majority of people do prefer to do something than to do nothing.
For sure.
And
For sure.
I think the classic example is, for most people, you give them a week off work, holiday. All right, that's good. And maybe this is a week off, let's say that you're not traveling or whatever, you're just at home. 1 week, okay, that's good, it's nice. 2 weeks, all right, you're starting to get cabin fever a bit. 3 weeks, it's not so fun anymore.
No, for sure.
3 months,
Go crazy.
oh!
Yeah.
That we like to be doing, most people
Yeah.
like to be doing something.
For sure. But that's because there is an intrinsic and natural busyness in people, I believe. We're not slothful. We're not lazy as beings. I mean, some people are a little bit over the top, maybe like me. I'm always puttering around and cleaning and moving and this sort of stuff. But for the most part, we're all the same. Right?
Yeah, I think there's some like outliers, right? Some on this side a bit more,
Yeah.
and then some who are a bit more, a bit less active. Sure.
But for the most part, we sit in that arc. And then it's up to my mind. It's my mind. I mean, I think the great tragedy of the 21st century is that because of the internet and lack of imagination and these sorts of things, we believe that I am not a naturally creative being. And that's nonsense. That is truly nonsense. We are all beautiful beings, but we're raw talent. We're raw talent. We're like an unpolished raw diamond. And when we find a big stone, right? I went to buy a Mercedes-Benz with a client once, and this woman salesman, I've never seen the ring had to be almost as big as my fist, and she kept waving it around like this. It was just amazing.
Yeah.
Excuse me, an aside. But the average human being wants to accomplish something with their life, I believe. For sure. For sure. Not just waiting to run along and die. But, once again, Sadhguru, as I mentioned before, he said that he's officiated at thousands of the deaths of thousands of people, and most people were alive for 3 or 4 minutes. But really alive, like, oh my God, I'm independent.
Mm.
I'm an independent agent, not just a poor vessel of circumstance, but an independent agent, maybe 4 minutes, and then I'm dead.
So, what drives you? What drives you?
What drives me is I believe that when I was born, God gave me a mission, and it took me a long time to find out what it was, right?
Okay.
And I think now I've discovered what it is, and I have to finish the mission, which you can't do, of course, because you'll die before the mission is finished. But now that I know what the mission is, which is to promote critical thinking, and once you think critically, you value your time, critical thinking in time. Now that I know that's the mission, let's fill in the blanks. Right? That's what drives me.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Drives me. And I think, well, I'd ask you the same question. What drives you?
Same question. What drives me?
Yeah.
All right. What drives me is I strive for excellence. Okay, excellence in myself, self-improvement, and part of the reason I do this It's because I have a brother, an older brother, who he's on the spectrum, so he has autism. Very smart, and even though I'm the younger brother, he looks up to me a lot. And anytime I do something, achieve something, accomplish something, especially something that seems to be out of reach for most people. Take writing a book, for example. Now, you've written some books yourself.
Yeah.
You know, that's nothing, from another planet to do.
No.
But
Just work.
it just, for a lot of people...
Shocking.
Yeah.
Twilight Zone.
Yeah, Twilight Zone. And so, for things like that, or I've made some video games before.
Well,
And same thing.
Cool.
For a lot of people, whoa, you did what? And these are the type of things I think, because people know me, they see me, they think, okay, I talk to people, I think I'm a normal guy. I am, just an average guy. But when I do strive for excellence and do these kinds of things, then other people around me, it often inspires them to finish their projects, write their book, start training to do their marathon, or whatever it is. It often encourages them and inspires them. If average Gary can do these things, because they know me, I'm down to earth, just an average guy, If I can do it, then they can do it as well.
Absolutely.
And so that's kind of what it is. It started out just with to try and inspire my brother a bit, as well as just to reach for self-improvement for myself even. But then it kind of went on for other people as well, just thinking, because you talked about missions. Before I had moved abroad, well, I realized my mission was, I thought, compared to a lot of people in my area, I grew up rather fortunate compared to a lot of people in the world, even. I thought my mission is to give back to people and to help people. That's what I want to do, help people where I can. And I think you don't need to be rich. You don't need to be some powerful intellect or whatever to help people, to make a difference in people's lives. That's all I want, is to help people. And that's what drives me, these kinds of things.
I think you find, you speak like this, Gary, I find as well that life is a hell of an adventure.
Sure.
That way. It really is.
Sure.
And I think if you're willing to push off, I was thinking as you're speaking now, I ended up in Poland when I was 19, and it's a long time ago, and it was behind the so-called Iron Curtain.
Yeah.
And it was like nobody spoke English, and the aristocratic classes spoke French. I didn't speak any Polish at all. But there was this one woman from my friend's village. My friend had a summer house in his village, and the woman was doing they were working on the farm, or doing something, fruit, or picking some fruit. And she sees me, and obviously I'm different because of my clothing and my stature and what have you. So she's very curious. She's about 70 years old probably. I was young, I was like 19. And so she asked me where I was from. And so through my friend, I said from Canada. Where in Canada? and somebody discovered a globe, and we got it's long before the internet. Got a globe out, and where I was from is the other side of the world. Like the exact other side of the world.
Yeah.
And she was just taken aback that someone at 19 had voyaged. She's worshipped family. I said, well, my family's at home, obviously. That somebody had voyaged all the way, and it didn't seem to be a big deal to me at the time. Like it was normal. People were traveling everywhere. But for her, it was a shocking. She'd probably been 20 miles in her lifetime, Probably.
Well, that kind of reminds me of, this is different, but it's kind of along the same lines where, as I've said before, I teach young children, work with young children, and teach them, and they know that I'm the American,
Okay.
and for a lot of them, they're 4 or 5 years old, that they think every night I hop on a plane and fly back, fly back home, and then somehow for the next morning,
You're there,
8:30,
wow.
I fly back again. Yeah, that's what they really think.
Wow.
And to take it a step further, if I bring some toys in or a new book or something to share with them, and they say, "Oh, did your mom buy that for you, or did your dad buy it for you?" That they really think that
Mom and Dad, you're living at home.
that I'm living at home
Yeah.
in America and just hopping the plane and going back and forth.
Yeah.
That they really don't grasp it yet.
No. My very, very first job abroad, I worked in a school, young kids, and they looked at me because not only am I sort of white, but I'm also old, and so they're sitting there like this with the eyes this big, and so I looked and I said to the teacher, after I stared for a while, I said, you tell them that the horns and the tail get cut off before we come here, and she tells this to the kids, and then the class starts, and I think nothing of it. So, and then they're tiny, these children, right? So I'm sitting in this little chair, and every day this little boy would come up and sit beside me and touch my hand. Like this. And the next day, and this goes on, So finally I said to the teacher one day, why is he touching my hand every day? Oh, he's just so afraid those horns are growing back.
Oh, that's terrible.
Yeah, isn't that something? Yeah. So, but I'm sure the images, because you're like an alien to these kids.
Oh, yeah.
They've never, this is not very white, not blonde, but it's certainly not, it's not oriental by any stretch, right?
Well, that's what some of my kids, if we're talking about differences like that, some of my kids, they always ask me about the, like the hair on my arms, usually. Yeah. And I'll just say to them, that's my coat. That's why I never wear a coat. It keeps me warm in the winter time.
And they believe this?
Well, they do. I actually think that genetically, I think this
could be true.
Could be part of the reason some people have more body hair than others. Yeah,
you're a Northern European then, running through the forest.
Yeah. So I think there is some truth to it, but back then. But I think, they believe it. They think that, wow, that must be the case. Yeah.
So I guess the thing is with the secret to ambition, which by the time we're 12, 13 years old, we can feel it. We really can. And you want something, and you don't know what, at least for me, I didn't know what it was. I had no idea what it was, but I knew that there was something inside me that told me, I got to get out of here. I was in this village of 1,000 people. There was 200 people in our high school. And the next town was three hours away, and there was no traffic stoplight, but there was one light, and at 6 o'clock, the stores closed, and it rained from September until about April on the West Coast.
Nice.
No. It wasn't nice.
It sounded nice until you mentioned the rain.
And cold.
It
would get down to, can I tell you a story? It was always wet, always cold. So I have 3 brothers and a sister, and so, you had to change your clothing 2-3 times a day. So my parents had a drying room. They would have this. You could just hang up with all these wet clothes, and they had this wood stove, and they would stoke it, and it would dry the clothes. Came home one day, it's a wet, rather cold day, and the stove is out. And can we get this stove to light? No, impossible. And somehow, a little devil jumped up on my shoulder and said, "Get the gas." And my father had always said, no gas in the stove. And he used to hide the gas. He had the gas hidden in his workshop, which was locked, except I knew where the key was to the workshop, and I knew where the key was to the gas room. There was another room, another key.
Oh, no.
So I got in, got liberally put the gas on top of the wood stove, and had my brother Francis. I got him to hold the lid up, right? He had blonde, blue-eyed, right? Threw in the match. Nothing happened. That was weird. And as I'm thinking that's weird, the stove went like that and then started to burn. And I looked at my jacket and my shirt. My shirt fell off. It just fell off. And I looked at my brother who was standing maybe 6 inches closer, and he was totally burnt and singed. All gone. But he's blonde, right? He's blonde, so it's all gone. All the eyebrows are gone, all singed away. And he also no shirt. We're lucky we're not dead, really. So he starts to cry. We need the enforcer here. So I get him, of course. Took him in the shower, and I'm washing him, and he's crying. And he's young. He's like 5, 6. I was 11 or something. He's still crying. No talking, no crying. And so, and I gave him one of those, you talk, you die books, right? We're sitting at the dining room table, and my mother was a policeman, you know? Like not a real policeman, of course, but one of those, like, could always feel something. So she's sitting there, and my brother's sitting over here, and I'm sitting over here. And my mother's sitting here, of course. My other brother beside Francis, and then my sister, and my father, and myself. And so my mother can sense something, so she goes to Francis. And she, first of all, to me, Leon, how are you today? Oh, I said, Mom, I'm really fine. And she looks at Francis, and she said, Francis, how are you? And he's gonna talk.
Oh no!
He's gonna talk then. He's gonna talk.
Oh no!
And so he's gonna. I could tell he's gonna talk. So I gave him the, "You're gonna die," looks, right. And he looked up, and he's still gonna talk. And I said, "You're gonna die twice." And he didn't talk. And he said, "I'm fine, Mommy." You know, and he said, "Why are you so red? I'm fine." You know, never told my mother. She never looked. She knew. I told her maybe 10 years ago. She was horrified. Right? Never knew. Never knew. Yeah. The wood stove, man.
Oh, yeah.
Ambition with the fire. Tara, we could have been in real trouble. Gas? Yeah, stupid. Yeah. Huh? So, when did you know you were going to be an ambitious man, Gary? When? How old?
I've always been ambitious.
Yeah?
I've always been. Even through elementary school.
Yeah.
You know, I always had big ideas to do things. Yeah, really. I think I... remember I decided to make a chess set, for example.
Huh?
And I made 2. I did one of Star Wars characters.
Yeah.
But towards the end I started losing interest and the quality started
slip away.
And then the other one, I did one later for it was for a reading project in junior high.
Huh?
It was for I read the book Dracula, Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Yeah.
So then I made a chess set based with the different characters for that.
Huh?
And that one actually turned out quite well. It's a lot of work.
Wow, sounds wonderful. In wood?
Oh, no, not wood. We used,
Soap?
I used bottles.
Oh, okay.
Bottles and decorated them.
Okay.
Things. Yeah. Yeah, it wasn't that ambitious. But I think that, yeah, I always had ideas to try things, and I think that that's what you need to do. Because if you don't try anything, you don't know what you're gonna like.
Yeah.
What you're not gonna like. I quite like cycling by now, but I would have never known. I would have had no idea that I liked cycling until maybe 5 years ago.
Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I just gotta try things, and I think not to be cliche, but I think what Nike says, just do it. I think that's what that's what you have to do.
Yeah. I'd like to try parachuting. I think that'd be so cool.
Oh.
Yeah. But as long as I don't have to count, 1, 2.
So it just pushes you out.
I think I would, after 3 or 4, I might forget. But I want, extreme sports. These guys go up. They're fun. Jump out of an airplane. No parachute. Can you imagine such a thing? No parachute. The first time you jump with your buddy because he throws the parachute after you and then he jumps to be sure. The second time you're on your own. You throw the parachute out, then you jump. Now, what if you jump the first time you jump out and you've just had an argument with your friend and you say you're sorry. Say you're sorry. Nope, not enough. No, more emotion. More Oh, sorry. Not in time, right? Yeah, I think that would be just terrifying, right?
Yeah, that's not really for me.
No way.
No, I don't think. Not for me.
I went on a roller coaster once. That was pretty weird. Do you like roller coasters?
It's not really for me
Not
either.
really.
Not for me.
Not for me either. Yeah.
I think I was gonna say, I think for a lot of those things, because I've had many situations, and that's where it's good to, have a diverse group of people, friends and people that you hang out with. Because I've had plenty of situations where I've been roped into things. Maybe the first time I've said, no, I don't think I'm ready to do this.
Yeah.
Or I'm busy or something. But by the third time, they ask, yeah, you have to.
Like an example, mountain climbing?
Yeah, like mountain climbing, for example. And so I actually do think that this is good.
Yeah.
Because it pushes us.
Yeah.
And it forces us to try other things, some of which, as I said, we might really, really enjoy, but we've never known if we hadn't been pushed into it.
It could be.
Yeah.
Could be. Yeah. But I guess the secret ultimately is how do you push yourself? That's the hard one, I think. Because we need people to push us, but gee, you gotta ultimately push yourself as well, right?
For me, that's easy, as I said.
Is it?
Yeah, I just strive for excellence.
Well, and also I think you said that you tell people. I've done that to quit smoking. I told people I was going to quit smoking.
Well, you need that, as I said, you need some sort of accountability.
Yeah, reinforcement.
The reinforcement.
Absolutely.
That if you don't own it, then there's no accountability. You're not going to do it. I think that's very important as well.
Yeah, I think. But it's interesting though, because if you don't, you must find that if you don't, like, let's say you're 13, 14 years old and you're ambitious, and that will stay with you for the rest of your life. That's well known, right? But if you don't start that phase, you don't have a tendency to learn to be ambitious when you're 30, right? So that's a skill set that you have to learn as soon as possible. From your friends, from your family, whatever it is. Somebody's got to push you, right? Mm-hmm. And if they don't, I think the consequences are not pretty, right? We live in a generation now, of course, of, in the morning I often ask the kids, who made their bed? You get a third, maybe, will put up their hands. Make your bed. I'd be beaten to death when I was growing up. Impossible to get up without making your bed. Even a poor job, right? There was no excuse for just getting up and leaving the bed. Wasn't on, right? Mm-hmm. And yet these kids, I say, who makes your bed? Oh, my mother. When? When she wants to. How about clean the toilet? Oh. I think, well, what happens when you go to school? When you go to college? Must be really unpleasant. Gotta be.
Well, if we want to go down that track, considering so many people don't even know how to cook themselves a meal,
Yeah.
But I think that's a topic for a different day. I think I've got to cut myself off before we
indulge
in that. Yeah, that's man.
Yeah.
It's a rabbit hole right there.
For sure. Well, you stay ambitious, Gary. Okay? Promise.
Yeah, of course.
I'll stay ambitious.
You're not taking that away from me.
Yeah.
All right. Well. Good night, everyone. Gary out.
The grandfather out. God bless. Bye-bye.
Bye.